formatting and reinstallation. And as you can see, we're still talking about the mind, because your journey to go global, it starts in your mind. I'll be borrowing principally from this book, Sheba, Ancient Customer Service Secrets Repackaged in a Social Media Driven World. Let me open with a statement that says the battle for global presence, global relevance, and global dominance is won or lost in the mind. Some of us have some level of relevance beyond our borders, but we are not yet dominant. So the battle for global presence, relevance, and dominance is won or lost in the mind. If you will win, it will come from your mind. And if you will lose, it will start from your mind. Let me give you a few quotations from a man of great persistence and the founder of the Ford Company. Henry Ford said, "The human mind is a channel through which things to be come into the realm of things that are." It sounds almost like borrowing from the scriptures about God calling into being, or God calling the things that are not as if they were. So Henry Ford says it is the mind that begins that journey from things to be into the realm of things that really are. I'll give you another Ford quotation and then let's build on from there. He says, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right." It's almost like saying, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Whether you think you can or you think you can't do something, you are right. So, if you were a computer, if you were a PC, or any device, because today we have several varieties, your mind will be the operating system of your life. That is the nerve center. That is where things happen. That is where the programming is done. That is where you can create, format, or move your life to the place where you want it to be. So why is the mind so important in this discussion about going global? Let me give you a third quotation from a man called Gary Ryan Blair, who says, "Learning is more than simply acquiring new knowledge. It is also crucial to unlearn old knowledge that has outlived its relevance. In that regard, therefore, forgetting is probably as important as learning." So for us to be able to operate within the global framework, it is important for us to unlearn some things before we can relearn, because those old models are so ingrained on our operating system, and our hard disk is full of irrelevant material. I don't know about you. Today we have computers with very big memory and very big hard drives, but if you lived in the days of 386 and 486 and 586, frequently you had to format the hard disk so you can upload another program and store some data. So, what is formatting and why is it important? If your mind is the operating system and your operating system is running on software that is outdated, and a new version of Windows or a new version of the software is out, there are a number of IT gurus here. In order to install the new one, you have to uninstall the old one so that the new one can give you more power, more push, more productivity, and more fulfillment as a user of the device. Tell somebody format. I am bringing us to the place where we will admit that we need to format our minds. What is format? Formatting is erasing the contents of a hard drive and setting up a new file system to enable the device to read from it and write data on it. You will agree with me that with certain kinds of thinking and certain kinds of positioning, some of the discussions we are having about global relevance will have no place in your life. So, formatting is erasing the contents of a hard drive and setting up a new file system to enable a device to read from it or write data onto it. I have the firm belief that, considering some of the mindsets we've grown up with, the orientation that many of us have had, if we try to install the new softwares with global orientation, there will be a clash. Your system cannot contain both old wine and new wine. One must give. For that to happen, if you really want the new global system, the old must give way. So we talk about formatting. What must we erase? I have a graphic that says the same old thinking equals to the same old results. There is no way you can think in the same way that you have always done and somehow assume that you will get a whole bunch of new results. So the same old pattern of thinking and the same mindsets will lead us to the same results. If we want different results, starting from today, we must think differently. What are the barriers to our going global? What are the things we must format or erase? The first one is pessimism and faithlessness. I think that the best way of seeing this is listening to our radio stations. As part of our tour around the country, we do a lot of radio interviews. On average, 7 to 10 interviews per region. And when you go on air and talk about opportunity, the first person to call in starts with but. An objection. Something that indicates that in spite of all you are saying, either a nevertheless, however, notwithstanding, but yet. Why do you want to start with that? Why don't you see opportunity? Why don't you believe? If you want to go global, you must lay aside pessimism and faithlessness. When you talk about anything that you want to do, the first thing people say is, it can't be done. I actually had a next door neighbor whose nickname was, it can't be done. But you must believe that it is possible to build great things right here, starting with you. The second barrier to going global is a scarcity mentality. I can assure you that if you put enough drinks, pastries, enough resources to go around everyone twice, some people still collect a lot and put it in their bag, because they cannot believe that it will be there when they come back next time. There is a certain kind of thinking that says that something will run short, something will not be enough, or that there is nothing around the place where we are. That kind of mentality can't help you go global. The third thing that we must format, or the third barrier, is even worse. I call it the Pecha Mentality. When we were in the university, there were the regular people who were the occupants of the room, and there were the Pechas. Pechas were there at the behest or the mercy of the occupants. So typically they had to be of good behavior if they didn't want to be evicted by the occupants. So I can imagine that a Pecha cannot play loud music. A Pecha cannot behave as if, Ben Braco wrote a song that you don't have your own house and you have gone to buy a Benz. A Pecha cannot go and buy a Benz and come and put it in somebody's rented house when the landlord does not have a Benz. You must be of good behavior. And some of us genuinely in our minds believe that even in this world we are Pechas. Second-class citizens who have no right to dream, to believe that we can invent something, we can do something great, and we can dare to dream of going global across the continents of this world. We see ourselves as Pechas. This world is not our home. The Pecha mentality will make you apologize for being successful. Somebody said to me, I have a degree, but don't put it on my book. Don't let people know. Why would you succeed and want to hide it? Why would you make progress in your life and career and apologize for it? It is easier. People prefer to bring people who are rising down to their level, and we encourage it, rather than raising people up to the level of the one doing wonderful and unique things. So when we try and we can't get to that level, we say, you are some way. Some way. The fourth mentality that is a barrier to going global is the Laboral mentality. It is the cousin of the Pecha mentality. But the Laboral mentality simply says, if you borrow somebody's shirt and you go to the party, please don't dance too much. And be careful, no one must compliment your dressing. The story is told about somebody who borrowed somebody's shoe and went to a party, and he was doing break dance and dancing, and the owner said, oh, listen, remember. And what made it worse is that along the line, all the young ladies surrounded the guy with the shoes doing the break dance and all those Michael Jackson dances in those days. At the peak of his powers, the owner walked straight to him and said, can I have my shoe back? Tell somebody Laboral. The Laboral mentality behaves as if the space you are occupying is even borrowed. So don't talk, don't move. You are going to the office, and the only advice your parents can give you, and they have a way of saying it in Ghanaian English, as you are going, when they talk, don't talk. And this is supposed to be good advice from people who have gone ahead of you, showing you the way of life. When they talk, don't talk. How can you invent things? How can you come up with innovations when others are talking, you don't talk? The fifth one is a local champion syndrome. The one that says, look, nobody in my village has gone to university. So once I've gone to university, I'm way ahead of them. Is that all? Just university. Nobody in my family has done a wedding. So once I've done a wedding, I'm ahead of the family. It's amazing how little achievements can become plateaus for us. We have hit our peak. We have done wedding. Small things that should just be one more block in the building process become high points that we choose to worship. The sixth barrier to going global is nostalgia, where you celebrate some one achievement, one award, one great moment that you had some time ago, and you consistently refer to, do you remember when in 2007? That was 6 years ago. What has happened since then? Granted, you were worker of the year, but since then, what has happened? The next barrier is religious strongholds. And I almost killed that because A spoke about it. But sometimes our religious beliefs and our teachings fly right in the face of progress. Young ladies, believe me, you can become as great as God meant for you to be. Any religious leader that stifles your development because you are a woman is taking you down an unscriptural road. Dream big. think big and become big. You are not inferior because of your gender. You are not inferior because of your ethnic background. You are not inferior because you lost your parents. You are not inferior to anyone. Go ahead and become as great as God meant for you to be. The 8th barrier is locational paralysis. People say nothing good happens in this region. Some people genuinely believe that their only salvation is if they travel outside the country. And even if they don't travel outside the country, they must relocate from their region to another region that they believe is more prosperous than theirs. I want to challenge you and say this. I've traveled to different regions of this country, and in every region I've gone to, I've found somebody who has defied the thinking of that region and built something of global standard and global quality in that so-called remote place. Travel to the Upper East region and look at the infrastructure and educational complexes that Reverend Eastwood Anaba has built in that place, and tell me Bolga is poor. Go to New Ebrim, a place that is so far into the woods from Nkoko, and look at the Beige Golf Village and Resort, and tell me that nothing good can come out of that remote place. What is the barrier? What region do you find yourself in? And what made you think that nothing can happen in that place? The blessing is in the person. And once you are blessed, wherever you find yourself, you will make it. I can also tell you this. If you are not blessed, we can take you to Wall Street and build a house for you on the Wall Street. You will still borrow and beg. What is the big question we need to answer today? What is it that we have that is a solution for the world? If we know what we have, wherever we find ourselves, our star will shine. The 9th barrier to going global is fear and laziness. I think fear is probably the biggest barrier to success. And in our part of the world, the things that we fear are sometimes shocking. I think we fear death, but we fear something even more than death. And what is that? What people will say. I think that the biggest barrier or the biggest fear of Ghanaians is what people will say. You must come to the point where you really are so focused, you don't care. Because I found out also that when you eventually succeed, those who laughed at you will come around and say, we always knew you could make it. When blind Bartimaeus was shouting and calling Jesus, they said, shut up, you are disturbing. When eventually the Lord turned to him, they said, we knew it, we knew it. Be of good cheer, he's calling you. Believe in what you have. When everyone else says, shut up, shout even louder, the world will hear you. You have something the world needs, and don't let no one shut you down. The final barrier I want to share is ignorance. What you don't know can kill you. Believe me, my dear friends, in today's very fast-paced world, you need to consistently, continually learn, upgrade, inform yourself, update your knowledge, stay on, ask questions, find out what's new. So going forward, what should we install? After you've formatted the old hard disk, set up the new file system, you must put some data on it. You must put some stuff on that new system, some new software, some new ways of doing things. What should we install? What data must be on the new system? If you're going to reinstall, it comes with an admission that the old software was not good enough. It comes with an appreciation of the fact that you need faster, stronger, more efficient ways of doing things to go where you want to go. These 5 things would help you. Number 1, global awareness. It is shocking how people can come for an interview and you ask them a question about anything happening on the global landscape and they have absolutely no clue. Absolutely no clue about global unemployment, recession, no clue about the resignation of the Pope and its implications. We know nothing about the Arab Spring. We read nothing, we understand nothing, and we don't care. But if you want to play ball on the global stage, you must track developments across the world. The truth is this: whether we like it or not, when Salt and Light puts out an advert for an administrative manager, or Bentiential Nature and Ankuma puts out an advert for even a front desk executive, people will apply from any part of the world. That's how the world works today. So how can you be here and not know that Spain now has 25% unemployment and therefore the stakes are higher? You must know. Your competition is no longer your colleagues from this university or the university next door. It's global awareness. So don't just know about the scores of your football team, and don't just know about your political party and which one's slogan is nicer. Beyond that, add something about what is happening on the world and its implications for young people coming out of our universities. So, global awareness. Number 2, set up a library. Set up a library. I find it very difficult to believe that somebody will not have a library and will not read and will not add knowledge to their stock and still believe that it can be relevant in this world going forward. Geraldine Brooks says to know a man's library is to know a man's mind. What you buy determines what you think about. If I come to your house and in terms of literary material, the only things there are the gossip newspapers, well, that tells you why you are where you are. What do you read? What do you buy? Do you have a library? The late Jim Rohn says if you have no reason to have a library, you set up a library and walk through it every morning and you will feel like a wise man. If you really can't find any reason, but I want to challenge you and say knowledge is the raw material for survival in the knowledge economy. What you know will determine where you will sit. The third software you must install on your system is global connections. Global connections. In choosing your relationships, gravitate around people who think globally. Connect your life to people whose aspirations go beyond their local environment. Create a relationship network with global capacity. There are people that will come into your life who have the propensity to move you from your small corner onto the global stage. Treat those people well. Nurture those relationships, because you will find that invariably one piece of advice, one link here, one recommendation here, and you could literally spring from where you are onto the global stage. And somebody will say you are lucky. You are not lucky. You prepared the right relationships and they became a springboard for you. Believe me, my dear friends, your relationships can become a major springboard to your success going forward. Fourth thing you must install is an antivirus and a password. We live in a world that has become extremely corrupt, and these wrong thinking patterns are worms, trojans, and viruses that want to take over your life and drive you to your destruction. And so a young person at age 11 is being showed strange concepts of sexual preference that are pushing him or her towards things that do not conform to their values and scriptural foundations. And the language is so strong that you don't even know what to do. These are viruses, worms, and Trojans. Install an antivirus. Install a system in place that can help you counter the thinking of this world. Because sometimes the wrong people can shout so loud that even when you are right, you apologize for being right. The wrong people can sound so convincing that you pull back with the right argument because everyone seems to be going in one direction. Can I tell you, my friends, the majority is not always right. And so you will leave Springboard with energy. You will leave Springboard with excitement. You will leave this conference with enthusiasm, but you will go back and meet the same people you were with before you came here. And when you say we are going global, they'll say, which one too is that? We're global. We are still here. Now you must believe that the seed that has been sown in your life is strong enough to resist every force and grow to become a mighty tree. Install an antivirus. Guard your heart with a password. Guard your heart with all diligence, because that's where your future is. Don't open your life to thinking patterns that will destroy you. Install an antivirus and install a password. Protect yourself from viruses and from hackers. Hackers are people who force their way into your system and destroy your system. Guard your life from them. Know them, identify them, and protect yourself. Young lady, some young man is telling you that you are the most beautiful goddess he has ever seen. And after years of your parents' hard work, you are in your final year. You are allowing him to stand behind that classroom with you and tell you when he sees you, he can't breathe. If he can't breathe, he should go for oxygen. Guard your heart. Guard yourself. Whatever it is that you are chasing, a time will come when you will get it. But there is a time and a season for every purpose under heaven. The final thing you must install, or the final software, is to regularly update or regularly upgrade your version. Avail yourself of newer ways of doing things. Don't stand there like a dinosaur and say, this is how we have done things all the time. We brought this to Cape Coast. There are newer ways, newer softwares. And if you don't find yourself compliant, somebody will come out of university and can sit down and in minutes design apps and solve problems in the office, and you see that gradually the person is being lifted above you and you are binding and loosing. No, you can't bind. Some things you can't bind them. So regularly update yourself, regularly upgrade, avail yourself of newer versions. Whatever you do, wherever you find yourself, understand that this thing that we are talking about, going global, it's all in the mind. If you can believe starting from today that you are not called to be in that small locality, you are not called to end on that small table, that you are not called to operate in only that small corner, and you can start from there and inculcate these principles that all speakers have shared on this platform. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you will be that great global or African icon that we'll all be celebrating. I want to say a big thank you, and God richly bless you.